Rangers Journal Night.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Rangers Journal post-match for today's game against Hearts, which was a 3-1 away win, which I think both me and Cammy were just talking over there. It's a surprising result given how that game went, but we shall talk through it nonetheless. As I say, I'm joined today by Cammy. Hi, Cammy. How you doing?
Aye, as we were saying just before we went live, just quite a bizarre 90 minutes. 3 points at the end of the day, but I think we'll obviously dig into it a bit further. I think it was vitally important that we got the win, and it was just interesting how we actually got to that outcome.
Absolutely, I think that game was the definition of the win was the most important part. We'll start off with the starting lineup. Was there anything about the lineup that you thought was particularly surprising?
Well, I think the headline one that took most of the conversation in the hour before kickoff was obviously Tom Lawrence, but we're in a position where Bajrami has not been a good signing so far. Egeman looks stronger playing as a centre forward, although I didn't think he had a particularly great day today. We're limited, you know. I don't think we're blessed with loads of options. That's the problem, you know. So, but I think Tom Lawrence was probably the one that got the most conversation. To be honest with you, Doug.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. I did wonder if he might potentially come in he's obviously back from injury. He's been kept in the European team, so. He probably needs to get some minutes under his belt. And I think it's maybe easy to remember he was on a good vein of form when he got injured. Clement did seem to favour him earlier in the season. So perhaps one that wasn't to be quite surprising. But so him coming in. And definitely with Barami as well, like you say, not really hitting the heights lately. So going into the game, I was looking at my notes before we started, and I literally have sort of decent first 5 minutes, interesting corners, and then it's just saved by Butland, saved by Butland, saved by Butland for 45 minutes.
I mean, it was, as you say, quite a bright, positive start. A bit of imagination from the corner. Obviously the ball comes in. John Souttar sticks it away well. But it does, to the naked eye, look offside. So, but you're thinking that's a good positive start. But I think you're spot on with regard to that. After that, we were way too open. I thought it was only a matter of time before Hearts scored. To be perfectly honest with you, I think there's a few guys in the comments have obviously made reference to Jack Butland's performance. I think he caused himself one problem, I think, with a stray pass, but he then rectified it with a save. Probably Jack Butland's best performance in a long time. I'd love to see. I wonder if the manager will reference the stats after the game today, because it felt like Hearts had probably as many shots on goal and actually troubling the goalkeeper as we did last Sunday. It's funny how. What a difference a week makes, sort of situation. But Rangers didn't have any control of the game. Hearts were playing with a tempo and an intensity, and we weren't matching it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me that was a real morale boosting performance for Butland. I say a lot of people, like you say, if I've mentioned him in the comments there, I think that will hopefully help get him on the road back to his best. The team for me just really looked lacking in confidence. Passes just weren't coming off. A lot of the times they were looking to make what I thought were the right kind of passes, but they were just being short. They were too long. People were losing possession. So like you say, we just couldn't get control on the game. Hearts had set up with a diamond midfield, which gave them an extra man slightly further forward in Shankland. And I think they made the most of that in pressuring us. And yeah, like you say, I doubt we'll see Clement reaching for too many stats this time. It took us, I believe it was about 36 minutes before we had our first shot on target. Not until we had our first goal, of course, but about 36 minutes until we had our first shot on target, which came from Raskin. But touching on that first goal, it did come after 19 minutes. Ball was put out to Hadji on the wing. Hadji beats his man, gets to the byline, pulls a cross in. A cross in to what was about 6 or 7 Hearts players and not a single Rangers player, which, as I say, it's a problem I've seen us have in the past. And I think we may continue to have with Gaman as our sole striker. But luckily for us, cross comes in, saved by Gordon onto the legs of McCart and in for our first goal. What were your thoughts at that point in the game?
Just delighted to score the first goal. I mean, Sky, I think after that were giving us Rangers have only lost X amount of games, and Ian Crocker loves the statistic. You know, I always worry if we lose the first goal, particularly in these games away from home. We hadn't played particularly well after the bright start, but you've got the goal and you're thinking you've been a bit fortuitous. You've managed to get yourself ahead. You're hoping that you can kick on for that, but we bit fortuitous. But it is a frustration. You've not got men in the box and what have you. I think Paul's spot on. Hadji puts the ball into an area. Ali McCoy's Chris Boyd would have been sniffing around about that. But that sort of type of penalty box striker is. There's not a lot of them about now, to be perfectly honest with you. But we went ahead, and I think that was the last that we played anything positively in the course of the first half, to be honest, for me.
Yeah, and just on Hadji, I think, like you say, he put the ball into a dangerous area, and I think that's something that we saw from him a couple of times throughout the match. And it's something I think that he does give us that is an elevation above some of our other players. He gets balls into dangerous areas, which results in goals. He won't get the credit for them, but he technically has 2 assists out of today's game, that first goal. And it's him that puts the ball in for the third that we'll talk about in a bit. So, he is a player that is making a difference and continuing to do so regularly since he's come back.
He's very brave. I think there's one thing about Hadji, he never hides. He will have a lot of misplaced passes, but I think he does always try to play, and he's very much a moments player. And I think I've said on podcasts before, we rely on individual moments and would rely on individual moments of quality to create a pass or create a bit of chaos. And certainly Hadji's. For a player that at the start of this season, Doug, that I don't think any of us expected to be starting Rangers games come the last third of the season, he's doing well. I'd still like to see him playing centrally. I think he could offer more in that central position, but he's contributing, and as you say, a couple of assists today. But he was one of the brighter players with regard to actually trying to do things. But I think a lot of the comments are referencing, and I think you said yourself, Doug, stray passes, lacking in confidence, just no moving the ball, quite indecisive. We got ourselves into positions on occasion. I think the way Hearts were playing, a wee bit more decisiveness in the final third, and you get more goals, and that comes across both halves. I think it's just we're not a good team in that on a sort of counter-attack situation. We just don't move the ball quick enough. We're not decisive enough, and what have you, But it's understandable that there's a lot of negativity in the comments. The performance wasn't great at all. Your best player is your goalkeeper, but you've come out with a 3-1 win. I think that's my summary of the match, to be honest with you, although we're obviously going to go through what's went on.
Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of the comments are saying it wasn't a good performance, but can we give them credit for holding in and sticking in there throughout what was a difficult first half? I do think part of the first half was more Hearts were very good, as opposed to us being abysmal. We weren't great, but I do think it wasn't part down to Hearts playing very well. They are obviously had been on a good run, and I think would have come into this game confident that they could have taken something from it, given our away record.
I think you're right. I think Hearts have a well-favoured expression of mine is Hearts would have smelled blood before the game. Rangers off the back of an embarrassing result last Sunday. Hearts in a good vein of form. The manager's got a clear way of playing, energetic, getting men forwards, etc. You know, everything. What I saw from Hearts today, you've seen probably they are quite an open side, and you will get opportunities. But yeah, we'll take the positive, and I think the rest of the half we didn't play particularly well. The start of the second half we didn't play particularly well, and they obviously get the goal. And at that point, they are 100%. The crowd's on top of it. And I, watching the game, Doug, I was fearing for us at 1-1. But I've questioned the mentality of the players, so at least they've stuck in the game as much as they weren't having a good game individually or collectively.
Absolutely. And Curry's kind of pointed out here as well. I think we do have a lot to thank for Hearts' poor finishing just after we scored. Just after, I think it was the 20th minute, they had a huge chance. One of their new signings, Kambangu, got just clean through it. I forget the young lad's name, but he plays just an absolutely beautiful pass. It has to be said, that just totally takes out our defence, and he's 1-on-1. And with a better finish, he equalises for Hearts straight away. He has another shot a couple of minutes later as well that's well saved by Butland. And then we had there was a long range, sort of a really fierce drive from Shankland from the edge of the box. That was kind of straight at Butland, but is one that could potentially catch a goalkeeper out. So let's say Butland played well, but also where Hearts a little bit more clinical, we could have been in more trouble.
I think it's one of these situations. Shankland has I can't mind all the individual chances, but the one where he properly puts his laces through it. I think if more of the clear-cut chances fall to Lawrence Shankland, I think we might not have been as fortunate. But he's playing in a deeper position. There's obviously a thought process behind that. He is effective in that sort of role, but I think if he's the guy in the position, we might not get off as lucky, because I think he is quite a composed striker, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yep. So not long after that, we went into half time. Obviously, we hadn't had a great half, but we'd managed to get in there with the 1-goal advantage, which was a positive. Were you expecting to see any changes at half time?
No, to be honest, the manager's good at. He loves a half-time substitution, but there was nothing glaring that I thought. I didn't think he was going to do what he did last Sunday and make a couple of substitutions at half-time. I just didn't. I think he's trying to get in about the players that he's selected. I thought your Dessers and your Bajramis and guys like that, I thought were the obvious ones as the game maybe got to 60, 65 minutes. But no, I just wanted us to come out with a better level of performance in the second half, to be honest with you. That was my main. I was prepared to give the players that opportunity, and I think the manager was probably the same.
Yeah, I agree. As I say, I thought this team just looked like they were really lacking confidence, and that was more to do with what was going wrong than necessarily any huge sort of terrible aspects of their play. It was just that, if they had more confidence, they'd have made some of those passes. There was one chance in particular, I think it was in the first half, where Diomande is like bedding down on goal. He's got two of the centre defenders are coming in, and I feel like a more confident player just bombs through the middle of the two of them, but instead he kind of holds off and then passes it to the side. And it was moments like that I feel like it was a bit more confident. So I was kind of the same, sitting there thinking, don't think we need changes, but they need a talking to and told to just get into the game more, have a bit more bite, have a bit more confidence. So as it was, we did come back out into the second half with the same 11. But unfortunately, rather than getting into the game with confidence within, I think it was about literally 2 or 3 minutes, Hearts get a corner, and it's Steinvender, I believe it's pronounced. Totally free header. It's a really good header. It's a good corner and header. Hearts are top of the league in terms of goals from corners. And I was about to say this shows why, but to be honest, it more shows our terrible defending, because there's just absolutely no one on him.
Aye, it's a nice delivery, nice header, but poor from our point of view. I think the manager had, referenced their danger from set pieces. We didn't pay any attention. The boy gets up. I think it's in between Suter and Enciala for the header, and I was fearing the worst at that stage, because for the next sort of 5-10 minutes properly, the crowd were up. The intensity of their performance was up, but we're not great at defending set pieces at all, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if there was the old was there anybody on the post? Does that make a difference? It's wee things like that. I always one of my mates, that's always his response when you lose a goal for a corner where there's not any men on the post. But a lot of managers don't favour it. It's a good goal for Hearts' point of view, poor goal for Rangers' point of view, and we were rocking for about 5-10 minutes after that.
Yeah, absolutely. There was more than a couple, I think, in the group chat when that goal went in, talking or bemoaning, to be more accurate, the lack of players at posts. It's something we seem to see a little less of these days, and does cause goals. It's like you say, Hearts obviously grew in confidence after that. The game, I think, was a lot more back and forth in the second half. We did have a bit more chances. Diomande, about 56 minutes, had a weak shot from the edge of the box. 59 minutes, Cherney whipped a chance just wide. All that was amongst Hearts getting their opportunities as well. But come the 60th minute, which I think is a really good time to get it, we managed to get a second ball coming through the middle. I believe it was Egerman who was pushing forward. He manages to get the ball forward and into Cherney, who whips the ball into goal and puts us 2-1 up.
Aye, great relief, as I say, after that difficult sort of 5-10 minutes after Hearts had got the equaliser. A wee bit fortuitous, but Cherney's managed to get into the position and stick it in the back of the net. He is very much a moments player, and he is the type of player that even when he's not having the greatest of games, I don't think his passing was great. Following on for last Sunday, I don't think he was great. But for those of us that are fixated by our wide players and our attacking players getting numbers, you can't argue with Cherney's goal contributions and assists so far this season. So it's certainly. We needed that second goal, and then obviously we needed that third goal, because that's the fear watching this Rangers team. We are quite, even going ahead, you never feel 100% confident, but it was good to get ahead, and you're then hoping that you can get the third goal and you can see the game out relatively comfortably.
Absolutely, I think Cherney has been a big player for us this season. Like you say, contribution with the goals and assists. If it wasn't for the price tag, I'd be saying it's an absolute no-brainer to sign. It's just the cost will be the difficult part. If we can somehow get his cost down, though, then I would absolutely be trying to keep him if possible. But I do think he gives us a lot of what we miss post sort of Ryan Kent. He's got a lot of similar attributes. So if we could keep him, that'd be great. But I think it may be a tough one.
The one thing with me on that one, Doug, is I think it's very similar to Abdallah Sima a year ago. I think numbers by the end of the season they'll probably both be on par. He's touchwood, he's been available far more than Sima. Sima picked up a lot of injuries, but obviously the finances were the reason why Sima couldn't come back. And I think it'll probably be the same on Cherney. So there's an issue again, that one of the players that contributes, a Sima, a Cherney, come the summer, you're in that same situation that you're having to recruit, and the players that we're managing to get are on loan because the value is too high, and the players that can make the difference, as much as that Cherney does have weaknesses in his game, he is effective for us, and he does come up with big moments.
Absolutely. It really just underlines how important that Champions League money can be, because I think that was potentially the difference between us signing Seaman and not. It kind of felt like he was holding on off to see whether we would be able to put an offer in, because he did put out a message to the Rangers fans, and it was after the fact that it was obvious that we weren't getting him. And just the timing to me kind of felt like he was keen to come if it had worked out. And I think, that's going to be key for us making that step forward, because I do think, you're wanting to get those bigger players, and those more clinical players. You're going to have to pay that little bit extra. So we're going to have to find that money from somewhere. Continuing on into the games, I say we were a bit more back and forth. Butland had a good save from McCart, who was the most effective striker on the pitch today. Kabangu had another effort saved by Butland as well. And then come the 72nd minute, as I say, Hadji again, you won't get the credit for it, but a nice sort of kind of slightly chipped ball up and over the defence. Dessers and McCart are then fighting for it. So Dessers keeps the pressure on, and McCart ends up knocking it back into his own goal for his second own goal and our third. And that finally, I think, at that point, that kind of killed a little bit of Hearts' confidence. And the game started to then sort of... Hearts did have about 10 minutes maybe after where they did try and push, but that kind of killed the game at that point.
It did, and I think that's what we needed. That's what we need. The away statistic that was quoted, I think, during the game, I think we'd only won 5 of our last 17 away matches. So it's obviously, we've got another one on off the back of winning at Tannadice. So it was. I don't think I've ever seen, or I don't think I recall a Rangers game where somebody scored 2 own goals. The boy didn't just had one of those. He just had one of those days, and I think he was fortunate that he didn't stick another one in the back of the net after that. To be honest with you, to walk away with a match ball. To be honest, but. It made the last sort of 15-20 minutes a wee bit more relaxing, although I'm never confident. I'm never confident it goes to 3-2 and then they add 5 or 6 minutes injury time or something like that. It's just scar tissue. It's happened. I mean, even at Tynecastle, the back end of last season, we were 3-1 up with 10 minutes to go and it ended up 3 each. So I think that scar tissue sticks in your head. But it was good. Dessers came on and he was involved as he always is. Could have had a goal just offside. Probably a typical Cyril Dessers cameo performance, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give him credit. Dessers he's always putting the effort in. Whether he starts and gets a few goals or he comes on, he's proven to be someone that can come on and get goals as well. So we have to give him credit there. And I mean, on the point of Dessers, about 5 or so minutes later, he did actually have the ball in the net. Unfortunately, ruled offside, but it was a good finish from him. And then, as I say, Hearts had a couple of chances, nothing clear cut. They did have one chance that they probably should have scored for that they put wide. Butland had a decent near post save from a corner. And in the dying minutes, we saw Tavernier and Hadji come off for Curtis and Fernandez. That was just time wasting substitutions. Neither got really any time there. And we had a header from Proper in the last few minutes as well. But that wrapped the game up. So overall, Cammy, I mean, like I say, a bit of a strange match. We didn't really play all that well. But if you had to pick a man of the match, who would yours be?
I think it's quite. I don't think I've ever selected a goalkeeper as man of the match when we've won a game by 3-1. But Jack Butland was excellent. Had some really important saves at key moments in the game. But overall, there wasn't. I thought Enciala done okay. I think for a guy that's still in single figures of appearances, I think he's doing really well. I don't think anybody would have expected 8 weeks ago. He's now went to Tannadice. He's now went to Tynecastle. He's not looked completely out his depth. And I think he's surprised even those people that watched him in the B team how he's managed to adapt. So I think that the shirt is now his. To be honest with you, I think it'll be him and Suter will be the first choice pairing. And I think the young boy's doing well. But Jack Butland, probably his best performance, other than one stray pass, probably the best performance I think Jack Butland's had in maybe 8-9 months, to be perfectly honest with you. So I hope Jack gains confidence from that. But overall, the Rangers' performance wasn't good enough. A lot of the expressions papering over the cracks and all that sort of stuff. I think both our opinions on the manager, etc., are well known. But I think it was vitally important, and I'm certainly not coming across as a happy clapper. I just want Rangers to win games of football. I've said it many times on pods, Doug. Rangers winning games of football, I can enjoy the rest of my Sunday watching Liverpool, watching the Tottenham game, so on and so forth. But moving forward, we need to be far better, and I think that's for another discussion. But well done to Jack, well done to Rangers for digging out 3 points, and well done to, I would say, Jack Butland and Clinton Nsiala.
Yep. And one question I kind of pinned for the end here was, as we said at the beginning, the surprise inclusion we had was Tom Lawrence. He's obviously been out for a long time. He's come back into the team today, and as I say, he was kept in the Champions League squad as well. The Europa League squad. Wishful thinking there. He was kept in the European squad, so is presumably obviously in the thinking to potentially play a part. How did you think he got on today, and do you think we'll get decent use out of him for the last part of the season?
I thought the game passed him by, to be perfectly honest with you. I can't really recall any major involvement, to be honest with you. He's a player that injuries have killed him across recent years. He looks leggy, he doesn't look energetic enough. I think he is probably trying, but I think his head maybe wants to go in areas and his legs just won't allow it. And I think the way that we play, I think he puts, even in the early part of the season when he was coming up with goals and assists and stuff like that, this persistence with the number 10, I think it puts pressure on the two players that are playing behind him, and I think the number 10 has to be a superstar that's coming up with big moments, or you're getting overrun, as has happened so many times, to be honest with you. But I think that's I think Curry's. This is what I said to boys before the game. That tells you how poor a signing Bajrami has been. The fact that we've committed £3.5-4 million on Bajrami, he's had wee glimmers, wee moments across the last 7 months, but we don't have the options. If Danilo was potentially available, you could potentially play Danilo in behind Digaman or whatever. I think you're just in that position. But Tom Lawrence is going to leave Rangers in the summer. That's a big frustration for me, that he's then given a start today. But the manager has to obviously try to get results in the interim period and try to maybe get Lawrence up to speed with regard to those Europa League. But I would hope to see Danilo, Dessers, Igaman, one of the attacking players playing as that player in behind, or Hadji playing in behind, and one of the Igaman playing off the left or something like that. But I wouldn't have, to be honest, I don't want to see, this isn't a dig at Tom Lawrence, but I just think we have to move away from Tom Lawrence as more players become available in that final third. He's ran his race at Rangers, and then in the summer we have to use his the wage that's going to be saved, which will be substantial. We have to use it wisely to get somebody that's going to come in. But wasn't Tom Lawrence's finest game, but there was a lot of players didn't perform particularly well. So I'm not just digging him out individually.
Oh, so I can't disagree with anything you've said there. I like Jock's comment. Lawrence will be standout for Birmingham next season, as they continue. That would be perfect if Birmingham want to take more of our players. I'm happy to continue to sell them to them.
Quite happy. We'll do a
Yep.
deal on Davis, Dowell, and Tom Lawrence. We'll do a 3-for-1 deal. We don't have any problem at all with that. If they want to give us one of their better players, then we'll do a swap. That's fine. But
That's it. 3 for a pound. 3 for a pound. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming into the comments today for reviewing today's game. As we say, not the greatest game in the world. I'm going to agree with Cammy. I'm going to give my man of the match to Butland as well. His best game in a long time, and hopefully that'll give him confidence moving forward. I do want to give a shout out to Hadji, though. I'm a well-known fan of Hadji, and as I say, 2 assists from him today get us the goals that get us the win. Rangers were damned if they do, damned if they didn't today. If they'd lost, they'd continue to get pelters. If they'd won, which they did, we were going to say, good, you should be doing that. They won, but they won poorly. We need to start showing better performances as well as the results if people are going to gain any kind of confidence in Philip Clement. I think it was Curry, I'm not 100% sure, but I think Curry asked if we thought Clement's the man to bring trophies to Rangers. Not if those performances don't improve. You can only drag yourself through with performances like that for so long. We can only rely on McCart's goal scoring abilities so many times this season. So still more needs to be seen from Rangers. So
if Curry's question is, does he think? Do we think this season? He certainly, we're not going to win the Europa League. Yeah. That's definitely not going to happen. I think
wouldn't it just be the thing if we did?
See, to be honest with you, it would almost take something like that. But my opinion, we could win, and I'll basically say this: we could win the Europa League. It's not going to happen. I would still want a different manager in charge next season. Because for our bread and butter, which is Scottish football, Rangers across the last 5 or 6 years have been excellent, bar the car crash Champions League season. We continue season after season, manager after manager. This isn't just a Philip Clement problem. Dropping points away from home against the teams with lower budgets, all that sort of situation. We should, until we get into a position where we are winning those games of football, nothing's going to change. And the same issues that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had, Philip Clement is having for me. So it's a definitive no for me, Curry.
There you go, Curry. You've got your answer there. So as I say, once again, just thanks everyone for tuning in today. Thanks, Cammy, for joining us and talking about the match.
Aye, it's good. It's good to come on and talk about a Rangers win, as much as it was a fortuitous one. I've had more than my share of postmortems after these away games across the last 9 months. So let's hope we've got a couple of home games, Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs, and we've got a trip to Kilmarnock in between that. Let's hope we can get 9 points out of 9 for that, and just doesn't change my opinion across what is inevitably going to come. But I just want Rangers to keep winning games of football, and then the people that are paid to make those decisions can make them when the time comes.
Absolutely. So on that note, we'll say goodbye to everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, the rest of your weekend. There's some good matches on in the Premiership to see if you're into that. But if not, then we'll catch you on the Rangers Journal during the week. We've got plenty of great content coming going into next weekend's fixture as well. So it just leaves me to say thanks from Cammy, thanks from myself, thanks for everyone in the comments. Just remember that every night it's a Rangers Journal night. Goodbye.